Ladies and gentlemen.
Peace, peace, spiritual girlies. It is your fellow favorite spiritual girly, Natasha, here with the Spiritual Girly Covenants. Okay. And listen, I wanted to come through and I wanted to talk to you guys about surviving chaotic climates. Okay. I just tried to go live on YouTube. I was having some functionality issues, or maybe the platform was having some functionality issues. So I took that as a sign that I should just go ahead and just pre-record this for my keepings, right? But that's neither here nor there. Happy freaking Wednesday. Happy hump day, as some would say. It is May 20th, 2026. You add that up, you get 17. You reduce it, and you get 8. 8-day vibes. Today is infinite abundance energy, infinite good health energy, Ashe. Infinite positive karmic retribution. Ashe. 8 is a very powerful number. It's a money number, and actually it's a number that I've been seeing myself personally a lot lately. 888, 88, 18, 808, 818, 8181. You get my point. So I just felt called, one, and I felt super just intrigued and drawn to this topic of surviving chaotic climates due to my own personal things that I've been going through behind closed doors with certain situations. So again, you already know I speak from a level of expertise or experience, because a lot of the times, or a lot of things that I talk about, I've been through them, or am currently going through them, or I've been in close proximity of someone who's experienced it. But 99% of the time, these be driven and drawn from personal things that I've been through. So let's get into it. Surviving chaotic timelines, spiritual girlies. Right now, everything that is happening in your life, my life, on an immediate personal scale and on a broad scale, worldwide scale, ethereal spiritual scale, okay, is literally a representation, or a representation, or is representative of a falling. The tower right now is literally falling, and the timeline split. I know you guys heard a bunch of people talk about timeline splits. It is happening, okay? And that causes chaos. First of all, we live in a world duality where there has always been chaos since the beginning of time. There has always been chaos. There has always been hostility. There has always been some type of oppression, right? Especially for melanated peoples. But just speaking in a holistic fashion, right? Everybody has experienced at some point in their life, to some degree, chaotic and hostile energy, environments, people, situation, relationships, on a big scale and on a very small scale. On a small scale, this could look like beefing, with a family member, or beefing with an ex-lover, or ex-wife or ex-husband, having beef with your neighbor, having beef with your friend, or even sibling rivalry, right? But on a bigger scale, and those are just some examples, on a bigger scale, you have chaotic climates that look like war, that look like poverty, that look like famine, that look like extreme just extremeness, like the opposite end of what we consider to be good, whole, healthy, wealthy, abundant. That is an example, right? But I want to talk about what it takes to get through these times on a grand scale and on a much smaller scale. Okay. I want to talk about that, and how it takes grit and how it takes faith to keep going through these challenging times. Let me tell you, I am one of the most impatient people. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because I'm saying it out loud, and I try to be as transparent and as honest with myself and with my community as possible. I am extremely impatient. And things may have not worked out for me in certain situations because of my impatience. So that is something that I am truly working on, is being patient. But it takes grit and it takes faith to get through challenging times. It takes perseverance. It takes believing in yourself and believing that there is a greater outcome at the end of the day, or at the end of this initiation, right? Because generally, chaotic climates, hostile environments, they're literally there to test you. They're literally there to help either build your character, expose a situation, or bring to light to something, or to create balance, because out of chaos comes balance. So you just, through those moments, you have to keep these things in mind, and know that it's going to get better. But I get it, right? We have to be grounded in the present moment. You know what I mean? And you have to deal with what is presently activating in your life right now. And that could be really tough, especially if you are having chaos within your home. You know what I mean? Or your place of business, or place of work, or within a relationship. Even if you guys don't live together, just the fact that it's hostile, just the fact that it's imbalanced, just the fact that it's unregulated, it just makes it hard, right? And if you truly love the person, or you love what you do, or you care about what is happening, you try to find a way to make things work. You try to find and amend, right? But that isn't so easy. It isn't so easy, especially if you have the opposite energy, the opposing energy, or the imbalance that is not an agreeable with trying to work things out. That is a challenge, okay? It's literally like, not literally, it is a battle between peace and rage sometimes, okay? It is literally a battle. Okay, I had to look at my notes because I kind of want to stay on topic. Y'all know I can get a little bit long-winded, so I just want to stay on topic. And plus, you know what I've noticed, just to get off subject, here I go, is I noticed that I present things a lot better when I'm kind of like organized in my thoughts, because being an Aquarius and being a neurodivergent and being just someone who constantly analyzes and reads environments and situations and peoples and energies, like my mind is like, so I'll be hopping around. So if you see me looking up and down, it's because I'm looking at my notes here. But it's a battle between peace and rage almost every day, right? Because you have to choose. Do I bite back today? Is biting back today beneficial to my tomorrow? Or do I keep peace today? And is peace going to cost me shrinking? Is peace going to cost me my voice? So that exercise in volition, you know what I mean? Exercise in being mindful of a situation, being mindful of how you're going to react, being mindful of your response. You know what I mean? That comes with emotional maturity and some level of self-mastery or emotional mastery. And a lot of us aren't there yet. I'm not there yet. Okay. I tell people all the time who fuck with me or who try to fuck with me, don't fuck with me. Because I know I push for, being whole and being healthy and being wealthy and being a light, but don't get it fucking twisted for 1 second. Baby, I will fuck you up. You know what I mean? I don't want to be played with. I don't like mind games. I don't like the energy games. And this is why, for me personally, I work very hard to stay away from people, places, or things that are chaotic, that are hostile, that are in disagreement with what I'm trying to do. And I know that I can't always control or dictate what these environments or people are going to be like. And I'm going to kind of get to that a little bit down in my notes. But it's just like, me personally, I just try not to even put myself in those situations. But I in my most recent life experience here, within the past year, I have experienced a chaotic and hostile situation or environment. And it was hard. It was hard. It was hard. It was hard, but I prevailed. I prevailed, and that's why I want to pretty much talk to you guys on how you can prevail as well if you are experiencing this, how you can survive these chaotic climates, okay? First of all, why are the climates chaotic in the first place? Why is there chaos? Why is there hostility, okay? We live in a world where everything is, there's a balance. You have polarity, you have duality, yin and yang, you know what I mean? You have mirroring, you have synchronicities, you know? So you have to have chaos if there's peace. You have to have war if there is love. You have to have poverty if there is rich. And I know that sounds crazy, but you do. In this construct, in this world that we call planet Gaia, or planet Ki, or Kai, or planet Earth, right? This is how this is made up here. So you wouldn't even know what rich is if there wasn't poverty. You wouldn't even know what high frequency is if there wasn't so much low vibrations. You wouldn't know what dry is if there wasn't wet. You get what I'm saying? You wouldn't know what cold if there wasn't hot. You wouldn't know what light is if there wasn't dark. So you have to have these things, right? A lot of the times there are chaotic climates and situations, or hostile environments, or hostile people, energies, beings, entities, things that are there to suck you dry, narcissistic people, narcissistic behavior. These are presented a lot of the time, spiritual girlies, to help you develop character. Okay? If you are walking the walk and talking the talk, there are going to come tests. It's like with school. You know, you've been going to school all year. Now you have your end of the year school test, or your end of the year exams or finals, right? Because now that you've been presented with a situation, now I need to see how much you've learned how to deal with it and solve and solidify and bring solutions to. Now I need to see how well you can do that at this level. So a lot of the time when you're in chaotic situations, although we feel so tested, we feel so attacked, it's genuinely not just for that. It's to help you build character. Because if you are calling yourself a goddess, high priestess, empress, Ashe, divine feminine, you have a certain role and responsibility. So therefore, you need to have the character to walk in the shoes of a high priestess, to walk in the shoes of a goddess, to walk in the shoes of a divine feminine or a divine matriarch, Ashe. It's to build character, baby. You need to know how to deal with conflict when it's even in your house, Ashe. So to build character, to teach you perseverance and endurance, to strengthen your perseverance and endurance, and to push you to practice your protection, to push you to practice how to protect yourself. Okay? So it may feel like it's so personal. Remember, what we are experiencing in our immediate lives is what is being reflected in the heavens. It is what is being reflected on a global scale. It is what is being reflected in a ethereal, cosmic, spiritual level. Ashe. So, what exactly are chaos, and hostile environments? In case you didn't know. A lot of people don't know that they're in chaotic and hostile environments because this is literally how they operate day to day to day. They didn't grew up around it. They didn't been in it. They can't even identify it. Okay. So these are for my people who kind of need to understand what exactly are chaos, and hostile environments. Well, places where you are extremely guarded. Baby, you got to keep your head on a swivel. You can't get caught slipping. You can barely take a nap. You can barely sleep. Baby, you experiencing insomnia. That is a very hostile environment. You may not recognize it, but your body does, your soul does, your nervous system can recognize it, which is why you don't feel safe, emotionally safe, physically safe, financially safe, okay? You're in survival mode. Survival mode is never idle for you. It never gets turned off. Yeah, the bigger picture, you're never really turned off because you have self-preservation. You always are in a state of surviving, right? Okay, especially in this video game that we call life. But it's never idle. You're always alert. Baby, you in a very chaotic and hostile environment. I don't care how subtle it is, how quiet it is. No one's speaking about the big ass elephant in the room. No one's talking about the butterflies that you feel, or how your heart begins to pulse when a certain situation happens, or when a certain someone walks in the room, or when you're around a place that your body or you don't agree with. Okay, baby, that's a hostile environment. That's chaos. Ashe. So also, hostile environments and chaotic environments, they display or they activate you being silenced or oppressed. Okay? They activate you being silenced or oppressed because the environment is chaotic and hostile. You can't speak your piece. You can't speak your mind. So therefore, you find yourself walking on eggshells, or therefore you feel like you can't get a word in inchwise, or you can't say anything without a certain someone or a certain energy, entity, or being offended or threatened. Okay. It's also where your energy and another energy clashes. That's how you know you're in a hostile environment. This energy don't match with this energy. You know what I mean? It's like two opposing forces. Y'all just can't come together. Y'all like this. And you can literally feel it. You can literally feel it. You can literally feel the emissions off of this other being or energy, okay? Energies are clashing. Your ideas, your mindsets, y'all are different. Y'all don't think nowhere alike, okay? That is an example of a chaotic and hostile environment, baby. It's a spiritual war going on where you are, okay? Also, you're fighting to survive spiritually and physically. You're fighting to survive spiritually and physically. These are examples that you are in a chaotic environment. Especially this is within your home, because your home is where you should feel safe. You shouldn't be fighting within your home. Now, I didn't say no, you shouldn't have disagreements. You shouldn't have moments where there is an odd energy. But on a consistent basis, you should not be fighting to survive spiritually and physically. And what I mean is you don't feel safe. You don't feel safe enough in your body. You don't feel safe enough to connect with your spirit or to tap into your spiritual rituals. You just feel disconnected. Ashe? Also, an example of being in a hostile, archaic environment, you feel judged. You feel projected onto. You are envied in some form or fashion. Okay? You are a threat to an idea or a program or a status quo. Any of that is going to cause for you to be in a hostile environment. This is my cat. Stardust! No! Stop it! She wants to come outside, so she's messing with our blinds. But you are a threat to the idea or a program. They just can't get down with that. You know, I'm a villager. Some people are not villagers. And what I mean is they're not communal. They're very individualistic. And yes, I am individualistic in my creativity and my thoughts, in my aura, essence, being, and my frequency, Ashe. But I am open to community. I am open to love and friendships. I am open to building villages. I am open to connection offline and online. I'm open to other sincere beings and spiritual girlies who want to rock out with me. A lot of people who are very dark-hearted, they don't really look at people or situations like that. They just want to take from you. They just, if you are a use to them, then yeah, they'll be your friend, they'll be communal to a certain extent. But if you are no use to these people, baby, they are individual. You are on your own, you are ass out. So if you are experiencing projection, if you are experiencing being judged and projected onto, baby, you are in a very chaotic and hostile environment. Okay? You are. Okay, so how to navigate these chaotic climates. I'm not just gonna tell y'all what y'all in, I'm gonna help y'all get out of these or work to get out of these chaotic and hostile environments as much as you possibly can. And this is from personal experience, so listen up, okay? Stand for something. Baby, you got to stand for something. You got to stand firm. You got to stand on your boundaries. You got to believe in what you believe in. You have to exude that. You have to have a level of confidence. You got to stand for something, or you will fall for anything. You will fall for disrespect. You will fall for shrinking. You will fall for being dismissed. Okay? Don't fall for that. Stand for something and practice your protection spells. Too many of us spiritual girlies are forgetting the spiritual power that we hold. I made a couple videos back where I was talking about we can't win the war the way they win the war, they meaning the opposing forces. You can see that how you see that, but you can't win it in this physical construct that we are in this planet Earth, planet Gaia, planet Kai, Ki. You cannot win the war physically, because that's not how you were programmed, spiritual girly. You have spiritual powers. Yes, there are certain wars that you can win in the physical, but there are certain battles that you can win within the physical. But the ultimate winning of a war, you got to tap into your spiritual powers. You got to practice your protection spells. You got to practice calling on and leaning into your own energy. You are just as powerful as your ancestors. You are just as powerful as the ancient gods and goddesses. You are just as powerful as your lineage. You are just as powerful as the benevolent universe and the great cosmic mother. You got to tap the fuck in, sis. You got spiritual powers. You got spiritual ranking, baby. Tap into that shit. Let me tell you, I am so fucking powerful. I'm powerful. I don't just magnetize to me what I want. I don't just, baby, I crumble the fuck out of somebody's world. I will destroy my opponent, and I will give to them everything that they desired from me or tried to give to me. I am an alchemist. I am a transmuter. And when I say that, I can say it with so much conviction and courage because I done walked it and I lived it and I've seen it. I've experienced it. And it ain't easy. I'm not saying it happens overnight. This is something that you got to stay at it. And in some battles, I was fucking depleted and defeated. Baby, I was depleted and defeated. Okay? Where I'm just like, I'm done. They win. They can have this shit. They can. I'm done. Because nothing is more important to me than my peace, than my happiness, than my soul expansion, than my soul mission. And anything that is interference of that, I am so quick to detach and run the fuck away. But some situations, it's not that you can't run away because you're never really stuck, right? Being stuck is a mental thing. But there is something that you agreed to and you intentionally bounded yourself to that you want to see through. So if you want to see something through, you want to see change happen, you have to stay the course and tap into your power and protection spells. If you need any ideas on how to do that, please email me. Comment below to this video, or matter of fact, hit the link in the bio, naturalucosmetics.com. Visit naturalucosmetics.com and schedule a service with me or get with me, okay? And I do not mind assisting you in different rituals, different spells for whatever you're trying to do. The only type of magic that I don't do is dark magic where I am impeding on someone's free will or wishing death on someone. Okay? I don't wish death on people who have not wronged me in a deathly way. Does that make sense? Like I'm not just being out here just malicious and ill-willed, and I'm not putting spells on people who don't want to be with me. Certain situations you just gotta let it be how it be. But if you are into commanding, conjuring, protecting, calling judgment, drawing up a petition, Ashe, then get at me. Ashe. And then another way to navigate chaotic climates is Exercise patience, which we kind of talked about, that you want to exercise patience, because this is a situation where you cannot rush it. You cannot be impatient. Some things you have to see through. And within this personal situation that I just won victory in and victory of, baby, there were many a times that I was not patient. It was many a times when I was not patient. And guess what? When I finally released control, per se, when I finally was like, okay, great mother, okay, universe, what are you showing to me right now? What is this helping me with? What is being just like, what is happening here? And I was like, okay, I'm going to learn what I need to learn. I'm going to let it be how it's going to be, how it's going to be. That's when all of the work I put in, all of my commanding, all of my journaling, all of my scripting, my ritual work, my spell work, my magic, the shit was like, whew. I released it. And I was like, I wanted to control it so bad. I needed it to happen when I wanted it to happen so bad. I didn't want to learn a lesson. I didn't want to get it. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to experience it. It was uncomfortable. I didn't like it. But it was an initiation. I now see. I'm $1 billion bitch. I'm $1 billion high priestess. I'm $1 billion babe. I'm $1 billion goddess. I'm $1 billion woman. I am $1 billion matriarch, a divine feminine worth billions. I hold the frequency of richness, wealth, abundance, good health, Ashe. I was being created. I was being molded. I was being formed, Ashe. So it makes sense. My 40s, I just turned 40 in February. This 40th level is totally different than anything I've ever fucking experienced. And the great mother had to reparent me, reposition me, and still is. We're not done. We're not fucking done. We're near done. Save me. We're not done. Okay? But listen, exercise patience. Become aloof and detached. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. It's not that I let it go. I became a detached from the situation. Instead of me being so hyper focused, instead of me being hyper focused on a specific outcome on how I wanted to see how it should be or how it should turn out, I became aloof. I'm an Aquarius, baby. I detached like an Aquarius. Okay? Soon as I became aloof about it, soon as I became detached about it emotionally and physically, and was like, let me tunnel in on my vision, let me tunnel in on my business, let me tunnel in on my husband, let me tunnel in on my family, let me tunnel in on this generational wealth building that I'm doing, let me tunnel in on this high vibrational shit, and let spirit, let divine sacred source energy, let divine cosmic mother do what it do. Let my power, my essence, okay, my frequency, my spell work, my magic do what it do. And it did what it did, baby. It did what it did, okay? So become aloof and detached. That is a superpower. Also, last but not least, focus on what you can change. Focus on what you can change. Stop being hyper-focused on how you see it to come about. One thing that I told my husband and I told my best friend, baby, listen, we don't get to pick and choose how things come per se. Like it's not going to come how we see it to come to a T. It's going to come how the universe intended for it to come, how the great mother, how the source, the creator, divine sacred source energy, how it sees fit. Just know that it will come. Just know that you are resourceful. Just know that you are being provided for. Just know that your commandments are being honored. It happens in the spirit first, and then it happens in the physical. You have to keep that in mind. It's birthed in the spirit and materialized in the physical. Okay? Keep that in mind. Focus on what you can change. Focus on what you can change. If you can physically get out of a climate or a hostile environment or a chaotic environment, do so. If you can't change the people, change the motherfucking people. There are certain things that you can do, but when you've exercised all of what you can do, You can't change nobody's mind. You can't change nobody's toxic behavior. You can't change nobody's malice, judgment, projection, or hate for you, but you can change how you respond to it, and you can change how much energy you pour into it. Ashe. So keep that in mind. Survive these chaotic climates in your personal world and on a broader scale. Okay? I love y'all. Peace.